Hello everyone and welcome to the third edition of Build Your Stuff Yourself. Today, as promised, we will look into the further details for Cloudflare setup, especially important for the deployment and running your application. And then I will show you another demo that you can also try out, which incorporates several advanced features. Then you can learn and get inspired to use it in your projects. Let's get started. All right, before we dive into the builds, let me actually give you a very quick mental model of the Cloudflare stack, which is really important for the deployment and running your applications. Think of what we are building like a restaurant. You need a shop front your customers see, a kitchen doing the work behind the scenes, and a pantry stocking ingredients. That's exactly what Pages, Workers, Functions, and D1 are. Here's how they connect. Pages and Functions handle everything the user sees and interacts with. Workers do the heavy lifting behind the scenes. D1 stores all your data. Simple flow, every request moves through this chain. And don't be scared, it's actually very easy to configure. However, it is important to keep this in mind when we define the initial scope, iterating with your AI tool of choice, and we can let AI suggest the architecture based on what we want to build. Pages is your shop window. It's everything a user sees. The layout, the buttons, the styling. You connect GitHub, push your code, and Cloudflare deploys it automatically. No servers, no configuration. But Pages can also do dynamic things, and that's where functions come in. Think of them as the service desk right at the front of the restaurant. A customer fills in the form, the staff handles it without going all the way to the kitchen. Workers are the kitchen. When something needs real cooking, calling Gemini, fetching TMDB data, keeping your API keys hidden from the browser, that's a worker job. And D1 is your pantry, plain SQL, zero setup, built right into Cloudflare. The workers or functions pull from it when they need ingredients. And that is something that I applied in a more advanced scenario. As promised, here comes the year map. First of all, thank you to my beautiful wife for the idea. And that's actually something we want to do for some time. Most of us track our lives in fragments, trips in one app, books in another, and movies somewhere else. YearMap is an AI-powered personal dashboard designed to solve this. It aggregates your physical and cultural consumption to provide a deep psychological profile of your year. More to that, based on your inputs, based on your profile, it will provide you very targeted recommendations, what to read, where to go, which new movies to consider. And it works really nice. Proven and tested. So now I will go ahead and click Start Collecting Your Journey. When we log in, we can either continue as guest or create an account. We can also later convert the guest account into the proper user. The user entry will be stored in the D1 SQL database. Once we log in, we can see that we can add a trip, a book, or a movie. And then this would also be stored in the database. Now, when I click Add a trip, I will go into the dedicated tab where I can either hide or show the map. I can import trip from photos. For example, it can read then the metadata. And yeah, I can obviously add it manually. That is something that I will do now with the recent trip to London. So I type in London, trigger in the search. Then we enter the required fields. We can also enter, obviously, highlights, lowlights. We can give it a score, right, from 1 to 5. And when I click Save, we actually trigger a Cloudflare worker. This isn't a traditional server request. It's a secure serverless script running at the network edge, making sure that it's very close to you for zero lag. The trip is then saved to, again, the Cloudflare D1 database. And this way we ensure that your travel history is distributed and retrieved instantly. But YearMap doesn't just store data, it understands it. Your trips, books, and movies are passed to Google Gemini 2.5 Flash model, which is able to analyze the cultural and psychological themes of your year. So say you entered several places, not just London, and we can see this in the demo dashboard. It will recommend us the new points of interest, again, new media, new books, and for the trips we actually also want to visualize it on the so-called recommendation map. In this relatively simple example, you can see how do we combine the pages with its UI, workers for logic execution, D1 for storage, and Gemini to infuse intelligence and give you the recommendations. And that is something that you can try out as well. And that actually concludes the third video of the series and the series itself. I hope you learned a lot or maybe something, and I hope it will be useful for you when you are building your stuff yourself. Good luck!